Why does fear crawl inside your chest even when you've done nothing wrong? Marcus Johnson felt it that evening as he walked home from the community center. His hoodie was up, his camera bag hanging on his shoulder. It was just another peaceful Friday until the red and blue lights flashed behind him. He froze. The sound of the siren made his heart race. Officer Reed Walker stepped out of the car, his hand already resting on his gun. "Hey, you! Stop right there," he barked. Marcus turned slowly, confused. "Sir, I'm just heading home," he said softly. But Reed's eyes didn't see a teen. They saw a threat. "You match the description," he snapped. "Empty your bag." Marcus tried to explain that he had just finished filming a short video for his school project, but Reed didn't listen. His voice grew louder, his steps heavier. The small crowd nearby started noticing. A woman whispered, "Why's he stopping that kid?" Ethan, who lived 2 blocks away, saw the flashing lights and ran over, pulling out his phone instinctively. Marcus kept his hands up. "Officer, please, I didn't do anything." But Reed's anger built like fire. "Don't talk back to me, boy," he shouted, shoving Marcus's chest. The crowd gasped. Ethan began live streaming. "Yo, this isn't right. He didn't do anything," he yelled. Marcus's camera fell to the ground. Reed's hand tightened on his baton. "You think you can talk to me like that?" He snarled and swung. Marcus fell to the ground, blood dripping from his lip. The crowd screamed. Phones rose high. The live stream spread. Hundreds were watching. Within minutes, it hit thousands. "Get your hands off me," Marcus cried as Reed pinned him down. Ethan's voice cracked. "Bro, everyone's seeing this. You're live, man. The whole city's watching." But Reed didn't stop. Rage blinded him, and every hit echoed louder than the sirens. At that moment, Mrs. Johnson's phone buzzed. A friend had sent her the live stream link. Her hands trembled as she pressed play and saw her son's face pressed against the pavement. Tears filled her eyes. "Marcus! Oh God, no!" the crowd shouted. "He's just a kid." But Reed's pride drowned their voices. He thought he had control. He didn't know he was losing everything: reputation, badge, and the world's mercy, one blow at a time. And somewhere in that chaos, Marcus whispered through blood and pain, "I just wanted to go home." Comment, justice, and subscribe to Stained Humanity. How does justice wake up when the world pretends to sleep? That question echoed in every corner of the city the next morning. The video of Marcus's beating had gone viral overnight. Over 1 million people had seen it before sunrise. The hashtags #Justice for Marcus and #Stained Humanity were flooding every platform. But Marcus wasn't awake to see it. He lay in the hospital bed, one eye swollen shut, his lips stitched, and his ribs aching with every breath. The quiet beeping of the heart monitor was the only sound in the room until his mother walked in. Mrs. Johnson's eyes were red from crying, but her voice was strong. "You're gonna be okay, baby," she whispered, holding his hand tightly. Marcus tried to speak, but his throat burned. "Mom, I didn't do anything." "I know," she said softly, "and now the world knows too." Meanwhile, Officer Reed Walker sat alone in his car outside the station. His phone buzzed non-stop with notifications, reporters calling, his face on every news channel. His chief's words from the morning still rang in his ears. "You're suspended, Reed." The footage is everywhere. The city's angry, but Reed wasn't sorry, not yet. He muttered to himself, he shouldn't have talked back. Back at the hospital, Ethan entered Marcus's room holding his phone. "Bro, you're trending," he said with a shaky smile. "The mayor even saw the video. People are marching downtown for you." Marcus blinked, still weak, still trying to understand how a normal walk home had turned into a national headline. "I didn't want fame," he whispered. "I just wanted peace." Mrs. Johnson turned toward the window, watching people gathering outside the hospital with signs that read, "Justice for Marcus Johnson." Reporters shouted questions, cameras flashed, and police cars lined the street. The whole city was awake now, and it wasn't going back to sleep. But deep down, Marcus feared something darker. He whispered, "What if nothing changes? What if he walks free?" His mother squeezed his hand harder. "Then we fight louder," she said, "because silence is the only thing that keeps them powerful." Outside, Officer Reed watched the protests from his car. His anger began to shift into fear. He realized the cameras had turned against him, and this time, the truth was public. His name, his badge number, his actions, all burned into the city's memory. In the shadows of flashing lights, justice was starting to stir, slow, heavy, and unstoppable. But was it too late for Marcus's innocence to ever feel safe again? If you believe voices like Marcus's deserve to be heard, drop justice in the comments and subscribe to Stained Humanity. When the truth is caught on camera, can lies still survive? That question haunted every officer, every reporter, and every citizen watching the Marcus Johnson case unfold. The video had shaken the city, but the system was still trying to stay quiet. 3 days had passed since the attack. Marcus sat in his hospital bed, watching the news in silence. Reporters debated whether Officer Reed's actions were excessive or justified. One anchor even said, "We don't have full context." Marcus's fists clenched. "Full context," he whispered. "They saw him hit me. They saw everything." Ethan paced the room, frustrated. "Bro, they're twisting it already. They're saying you resisted. They're lying to protect him." Marcus stayed quiet, his eyes filled with pain deeper than his bruises. "They always do," he muttered. Meanwhile, Officer Reed sat across from his lawyer in a dimly lit office. "You need to stay quiet," the lawyer warned. "No interviews, no statements. The union will handle this." But Reed's pride was bleeding. "That video made me a monster," he said bitterly. "They don't know what it's like out there." His lawyer sighed. "Reed, the city's against you. There are protests outside the department. You need to understand. This isn't going away." Outside the hospital, the crowds grew larger. People held signs reading, "Enough is enough," and "Justice has no color." Mrs. Johnson stepped outside with Ethan, facing the reporters for the first time. Her voice trembled, but her words were sharp as glass. "My son didn't deserve to be beaten like a criminal for being black. We won't stop until that badge means protection, not power." Her speech went viral within hours. News channels picked it up, and the clip replayed over and over. Across the country, people began sharing their own stories. It wasn't just about Marcus anymore. It was about every silent injustice that had gone unseen. Until now. That night, Officer Reed turned on his TV and saw the same woman's face, Mrs. Johnson's, staring back. The anchor said, "Public pressure is rising for charges to be filed." Reed's hands shook. For the first time, he felt something heavier than anger, guilt, but he buried it deep. "I did my job," he whispered to himself. "Didn't I?" In Marcus's room, the lights were dim. The doctor said he could be discharged soon, but Marcus didn't feel free. "Mum," he said softly, "what if I never walk down a street without fear again?" She brushed his hair gently. "Then walk with courage, not fear. You didn't do wrong, he did." And the world finally saw it. As the city prepared for a court date, that could change everything. One truth remained. You can erase footage, but you can't erase what people saw with their hearts. When justice finally opens its mouth, does it whisper or does it roar? That question filled every heart inside the crowded courtroom. The city had waited weeks for this moment. The trial of Officer Reed Walker, the man who beat a 17-year-old boy for simply walking home. Marcus sat quietly beside his mother in the front row. He wore a black suit that still felt too big for his thin frame. His bruises had faded, but the fear in his eyes hadn't. Cameras flashed. The world was watching. Across the room sat Officer Reed, stiff, pale, his badge gone. His lawyer whispered something, but Reed didn't respond. His mind replayed that night. The shouting, the crowd, the moment he lost control. For the first time, he wasn't sure if he was the victim of his anger or its prisoner. The prosecutor stood and played the video Ethan had recorded. The silence was painful. Each hit, each scream, each second reopened a wound. When it ended, Mrs. Johnson closed her eyes. The judge's face tightened. "Officer Walker," the prosecutor asked, "is this how you serve and protect?" Reed looked down. "I was doing my duty," he muttered. He looked suspicious. "Suspicious," she repeated, "for walking home with a camera bag?" The room buzzed. Ethan squeezed Marcus's shoulder. "They can't twist this anymore, bro." Everyone saw the truth. After hours of testimony, the judge finally spoke. This court finds the defendant, Officer Reed Walker, guilty of assault and misconduct under color of law. The room erupted. Some cried, some clapped, some just exhaled in relief. Mrs. Johnson hugged her son. "You did it, baby. You made them listen." Marcus shook his head. "No, Mom. We did." Everyone who spoke up outside, the crowd roared. Reporters asked, "Marcus, what's next for you?" He looked into the lens. "I just want to make films that tell the truth, even when it hurts." That clip went viral. Marcus became a symbol, not of pain, but of power, born from injustice. And somewhere, another mother whispered to her son, "Don't ever be afraid to be who you are." Subscribe to Stained Humanity.